Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Moonbreaker. In today's video we're going to be looking at what, as far as I can tell, is the most meta list in the current game. So there's a couple of different versions of this and we're going to be looking at Aggro Zax. So I played the stream the other day, and out of the 12 games that we played, 10 of them were against Zax lists and every single opponent was running Maximus. So yeah, the Zax aggro meta is absolutely prevalent at the moment. This is one of the strongest lists going. There's a couple of options that you can sort of change out and things like that. So one of which is Ursix Scattervine. So this is something I actually want to be trying out because I tried it in an aggro list on the stream and it actually worked really well. I have seen lists running sort of a combination of either Ursix Scattervine, Amplifier Bitol. Some of them have cut Tlalli for Detonia, which means you've got less burst but more consistent damage because Detonia can throw over walls and that sort of thing. But the version I'm going to play is with both Scattervine and Bitol because I love the synergy between them too. Getting multiple Scattervines with 2 attack is a really good way of finishing off games when you get a bit more Cinder. So we're going to take this into a few games and just see how well we can do. It's a very, very powerful list. So it's something that really can finish games out quite easily. Like I said, with the other options, if you're willing to take out Tlalli, you've got that bit more sort of consistent finishing power, but it's not as fast. And in a list like this, we're going to be looking for things like Corrosive as our number 1 assist. We're going to want Vortex as our second. And then probably something like Disruptor or Stim Burst as a sort of a third option there as well. So we've got Corrosive and we've got it with Stasis Field. This is pretty reasonable. Stun is quite good against Extilior because he obviously outputs a lot of damage. So when we're getting our melee units in, this gives us the option to get them in for a turn without taking anything on the backswing. So we're against Shivs and Jibs, who is a level 79, so it's an experienced player, and they are going to be trying to take us out quite soon. Given that they've played Maximus, we probably want to see if there's a good line of sight we can get onto it, but if not, we're just going to be going aggressive. And given that there's not, so the best we can do here on Maximus is sort of minus 40-ish, 41, yeah, minus 40, there we go. So that's not going to be that successful. I'd rather take a minus 37 up here, go for the attack, see if we get it. We do, and then deploy our own Maximus behind this terrain. So this means that we're very likely to live, considering that they can't both get 2 damage onto Maximus with theirs and with Extilior, unless they've got a push to push it exactly over here. So if they expose their Maximus, we're going to be dealing with that. But otherwise, we're going to have 4 Cinder next turn, thanks to Second Wind. So we're probably going to be playing multiple units next turn. I quite like Blindsider Eztli and Tlalli just being played in the same turn, because it can offer so much burst the following turn. Or we can just go for multiple other units as well. So we've got a lot of options here. So is this going to be probably a Beatrice, I imagine? Yeah, so they're going for the standard, use Beatrice to block things, and use Maximus over here to poke and run. So again, I'm going to look to see if I can get an angle onto Maximus. It's unlikely that I can. So yeah, there's nothing over here, nothing at all. So we're going to rely on getting our hit chance in. So we want the lowest we can get over here. So that's 37, 46%. So in theory, we should hit 1. There we go. And then what we do here is interesting. So we can again go for the minus to hit. If we go here, Beatrice can almost get an angle on us, which is not what we want to be doing. But we do want to be being aggressive, so we're going to keep pushing at their captain. So we did miss this, but then having Second Wind, we can make some really aggressive plays here. And I think what I'm actually going to try and do here is use a couple of units to actually block them into place. So I'm going to place Antios. Actually, where's... Okay, so that can move to here, so that's not where we want to go. So we're going to place Antios Gauntlet here, and Drumdancer Tlalli here. And then with Maximus needing to hide again, we're going to just move back in this direction. So their Maximus is now stuck without a Disruptor. We've got multiple units on the field, and we've got a lot of power coming through. So they can only get 3 damage onto our Deadeye. Again, we could have maybe played Deadeye a little bit further back, but we just want to... Yeah, so they're going to have to spend 2 Cinder to do the damage unless they've got their Disruptor, which is very likely that they have access to something useful here. Okay, Corrosive. Corrosive is also good. So they can kill one of our units and run away with Maximus here. So this isn't a bad choice from them, but we've got Corrosive next turn. And I think, I'll be honest, there's a very good chance we deal a lot of damage here. So we can pummel on ourselves here for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 damage we've got on this next turn. So we're going to go all out on this, and we're going to be just running straight at them. There is also the option of... yeah, we could try and just take out Maximus as well. So let's just consider this as an option. We'll take these here. How important is it that we kill Maximus? Honestly, I think we just go for the damage. I think killing Maximus is good and all, but we want to be getting full damage into place. We'll pop over here to get this hit in. And then we have to shoot. So this would be 3. So this 2 extra damage on here. So it's functionally... because it gives pummel, so it's actually 3 extra damage. This is 3 extra damage. So this deals 3, and then this will deal 5, or this will deal 3. Sorry, and then this will deal 6, and this will deal 2. So yeah, this is better to still pummel herself. We'll go here. That crit's pretty awkward, but there we go. And I think the best follow-up here is place a sleeper mine just out of melee range for them. So with this mine as well, they have to kill both of these and run this way, and that's running towards Maximus. So given that we've got a stun, we've got Zax with enough damage to kill their Extilior, I think it's very unlikely that we lose here. They've got the attacks here, they can run away. They're going to have to really block themselves in and hope that we can't gravity disc them away or gravity disc ourselves into range. Hope for 2 crits here maybe would also be useful for them. Yeah, so it looks like here they're trying to maybe block line of sight from our Maximus. So if you look here, this is where we can move to, but we've probably got a good enough angle over here. Okay, so they're stunning our Zax, and they're just hoping that our Maximus can't get into range. Which is pretty reasonable if you ask me, but we've also got, unfortunately for them, pretty much a guaranteed finish here, because we've got the Ursix Scattervine. So we'll go for these first. We did miss both. We'll play a Scattervine down here. We will growth another Scattervine here, and just go for the finish. Oh no, because they had a shield, didn't they? We should have actually stunned it first. That would have been the sensible option. So we'll move over here. Yeah, I actually forgot about that. I'll be completely honest. That's entirely my fault. But to follow up the plan, we'll play a Rickety Backfire over here. So again, they're not going to kill us this turn, and we've got loads and loads of damage. We've stunned their Extilior. I don't see how they're going to come back from this. Again, that was a mistake. I should have stunned it first because I didn't realise he had a Shield of Hope. So had I noticed the Shield of Hope, I should have stunned first. I thought we were going for guaranteed lethal there, so that was a mistake on my part. Okay, and the opponent noticed that as well. So that gives a really good demonstration of how quickly this list can end games. We didn't even get Eztli down. We didn't go for any sort of big pummel shenanigans. We only went for one reasonable attack. But you can see that Eztli is one of my most used units, ranking up to rank 4. Oh, not quite. 20 XP first, so no one else. Yeah, so Maximus, Deadeye, Rickety Backfire, really consistent units. Eztli not far behind. So we're making good progress here. That was the first game, and the thing with these games is they can be really, really fast. So this is the list to play if you're really wanting to just win games and sort of take things down as fast as possible. It's absolutely, a powerful thing that you've got an option to do. And I think people... it's almost a bit of the boogeyman in the meta at the moment. It's the aggro lists have recently just got a nerf. Maximus lost 2 health. Blindsider Eztli went up by 1 cinder cost. We had Taria, who was in the previous version of the list, go down 1 attack as well. And I think she's, got an argument for being in the list as well, but not in every list. She's really good with Rickety, but then a little bit less throughout the rest of it. So, there's just a lot to be said for a list like this. So here we've got Corrosive and Cinder Infusion, and Corrosive is fantastic, but we've also got Plink and Stowaway, but Stowaway is not good in these lists, so we're going to stick with Corrosive. It would be really nice to have the movement ability, but... so with these maps, we're against the same opponent. We don't have the option of moving into range of them quite yet, so we're just going to... in fact, given how far this can move, we're actually just going to play Maximus front and centre as far forward as we can. The reason for this is they shouldn't be able to get into range, and there's a good chance that we might be able to get line of sight onto any position that Extilior can hide here. So if we can get up to here, we should be able to shoot this. So they're obviously going to play their own unit. It's probably a Maximus as well. It is. Now, so we don't have a good line of sight on it here, but what we do have is good line of sight here. So if we just go around, take our couple of hits, we did get both, and then move back here. Zax obviously doesn't have a good shot onto it here, so we might as well move Zax this way and take the pot shot onto their Maximus. It's a 0%. I didn't think that was going to be the case, so take it anyway, send a message. And then in this situation, I think we probably just want to play something like Deadeye, and again, play it somewhere fairly safe. So Deadeye behind here, hard for Maximus to get to, they can't hide from everything. Up here is too much of a risk of them going over that way, so yeah, I think this is a Deadeye turn. And so we're going to go for these sort of really oppressive angles to basically make sure that we've got as much of a chance to take out either their Maximus or themselves. Okay, they did get their hit, so they get to hide again. So on this turn, we might even look at moving over here with Zax and trying to take out Maximus. But if they move Extilio forward, we're going to want to be moving on to him and taking as many points of damage off of him as we can. So what do they play here could be interesting. If this is something like a Beatrice, that's going to be hard for us to deal with, so we need to play around it. And by around it, I mean literally around. You know, we have to avoid line of sight onto it. Okay, so if we can do here, I think in this situation, we'd actually take out Maximus if we can. So we want to see what angle we can get with Deadeye, and to see, you know, if we can get something on there that... Okay, so that having 5 is actually very awkward as well. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage here, so we can't quite kill it in Beatrice here, unless we get 1 crit out of the lot. We could Scattervine, and that would get us the damage, but I don't think that's what we want to spend our Cinder on quite yet. It's probably on Eztli, so this gets us what percent? Very low percent onto that. Honestly, I think here, it depends what Maximus can do actually. Can we get... Okay, we can get unobstructed line of sight onto them. So we're actually going to go in and just try and take out Extilio here. Take as many shots as we can, get that unobstructed line of sight. And then for this one, we are still going to move back here, keep them out of solid range, move back in, get another shot, get them down to 8, and then what we can do is play something like... I mean, Rickety would be hard to deal with, but I think we're probably just wanting to play Blindsider Eztli over here. Maybe just in this direction, force them to come out, and protect Maximus as well. So they can kill Eztli here if they want to, but what that does... In fact, yeah, they probably can kill Eztli, but it means that they're having to come in this direction. Ion Storm we didn't account for, but we need to just basically try and find ways to chip this damage off as quickly as possible. This could be another really good Scattervine game. Yeah, so here we probably are ignoring Maximus, getting our 2 damage off here, and then moving Deadeye to safety to try and deal with this later on. Yeah, so what have they got here? We've got them, so having them down to 8 means we can afford to spend a bit of time playing defensive. So it's not even out of the realms of possibility that I want to be trying to take out Maximus here, but we could also just be going at Extilio and trying to see if we can get him as low as possible. So I think here we are going to release the Ozos on ourselves and just try and take a couple of big hits. Blindsider Eztli can't get into range yet, so we just need to be moving around as aggressively as we can for the future. So with Maximus having reduced accuracy here, I am just going to still go for Extilio and see if we can get any extra hits in. We didn't, but that's absolutely fine. Have we got a good line here at all? That's not a good line in the slightest. So, what do we want to do? Honestly, I think we're just playing as many things out as we can in as many different directions around Shrapnel as possible. So we can put like Antios Gauntlet over here. And then we'll pop a Rickety Backfire in this direction. And we'll just get the 24%, 20 26 will have to do, there we go. And take the shot here. We did miss on everything, but we've got so much pressure here that it's really unlikely for them to be able to keep all of this off of Extilior. And we've only got one more turn until Corrosive, and next turn we've got our Scattervines as well. So given that we get extra Cinder, we've also got one Scattervine with Amplifier Bitol if we need it. So we do have to lose units if we want to do that though, but I think that's quite likely here. And also things like Antios getting in range is super good for us. They can't deal with Deadeye now unless they get a crit. Okay, no crit. Oh, they got the Plink, of course they can. So they can deal with that. But we have still got enough damage to deal with them in theory. So second wind, this is fine. So what we do need to be careful of is that we don't take too much damage on the backswing. Because, okay, ooh, Defense Dome. Okay, so this is a game again. So this is absolutely the turn when we want to be bringing in our Amplifier Bitol. So with 6 Cinder, what I'm probably going to be doing is using Amplifier Bitol and trying to move Tlalli in range over here first. So the reason I'm doing this is because I want Tlalli to be able to Battle Frenzy here. Oh, it needs line of sight. Okay, so that's actually very awkward. Like, very awkward indeed. I messed that up just a bit. So we can try and... I forgot about that needing line of sight. So, if we hit here, push that back. That's fine. That's what we wanted to happen. So we're going to Battle Frenzy here. Inner Energy itself. I thought that would be knocking it back enough. Does that do it when it damages an enemy? When it hits? I thought that would be enough. So who is this anyway? This is only Maximus. Oh, he had the Shield of Hope as well. Okay, so in that case we're just going to have to kill Shrapnel here. This was a couple of mistakes on my part here. Oh, that's in range of that as well. Oh my goodness. Okay, I basically have played this all wrong. But let's place a Sleeper Mine over here. Send Blindsider Eztli over. Get a bit of damage in here. So Eztli's going to die next turn. And then we'll just hide back here. This has gone very badly, but we have got Corrosive next turn, so hopefully we can make up for our mistakes. To them, it's going to look like we're going all in on the dome first, but we're actually probably going to just turn onto Extilior next turn, and still having Scattervine and Bitol next turn means we can actually give everything plus 2 damage with that and Corrosive. So Extilior is going to have to be on the back foot. If not, there's actually a very good chance that we can take out their entire remaining board. So this is all fine. If they can take out Tlalli, so they can go Shrapnel here, Beatrice here, leave Antios on 2 rather, and then ping Tlalli to death. So this is a good option for them. But I also think there's a very good chance they need to come into range on Eztli here, and I don't know if that's going to be enough damage. They have to shoot Eztli with Maximus if they want to be aggressive, so Eztli's just going to be able to sit here and do whatever they want. Yeah, so I think this is a hard choice for them. I don't think there's a good situation. I think we're going to be able to buff up anything we want. So they're going to go for movement blocking as much as possible, which I think is correct. But I'm fairly sure that we've just got this game now. Unless they block it with... I've got another unit to play. Okay, that's Florio. So Florio can block some of this up. So what's our route through? We're obviously doing this. Okay, then what we can also do is if we play... We're just going to move over to here. We can play Amplifier Bitol down in this sort of area, I believe. And we're just going to try and push through damage. So we need to be... Where's Bitol's range for this? It's there. So we're fine on this front. Get this over here and go for the... we can't go for the shot on that without moving Eztli first. So let's place our Scattervine down. In fact, no, you know what? I think we gravity disc this situation and try and just make ourselves have a big hole. So now Zax can shoot here. He missed. Of course he missed. we can kill this. We can go for a big hit onto... We don't even have the range for everything we need to. Yeah, this has failed again. They're doing really well versus us. We're not doing the best at all. Like, they're holding out really well. We probably should have played that better. We've still got Scattervine next turn, but they can Ion Storm. They can probably take out a couple of units here. Florio's going to kill most of this in conjunction with Beatrice if she can get in range. Not quite. Oh no, but with Shrapnel could absolutely take this out. Shrapnel can move over here and clear our board virtually. But the fact they have to use Maximus... Oh, because Shrapnel can get this angle. Yeah, we might lose this. So this is really well played by opponent, by the way. So Shivs and Jibs is doing a great job here. We're losing nearly everything in our list, with no real comeback here. But I think if we can get Rickety into range of Extilior here, there's a very good chance we just win off of that damage if it hits, and then a few Scattervines as well. We've got a whole turn of 3 Scattervines coming down next turn, but we need to be careful of the additional health that they've essentially got as well. Okay, so yeah, they're going to move block. So we can get an angle here. We can try for it. It's not going to be an easy one. So can we get an angle? So this is our best angle for this little guy. We've got 50% hit. And we did hit, and we did explode as well, which is good. So, we can't even reach over here. And we're going to take a lot of damage next turn, so we need to be really careful. So Maximus needs to die. We can do 3 Scattervines here. So we can grow again. And then he can move this way. And grow another one into just here. That crit might actually be a pretty big deal here. We're going to Sleeper Mine Eztli into range over this way. And we're just going to move over here. So we could be dead. We could absolutely be dead. We only need to get 1 hit off onto their Extilior. And with 2 health, it's very possible. So they could have a Scattervine as well. Yeah, they do. Ooh, this is a good game. Shivs and Jibs is doing really well here. So they can actually just move into here, spin if they don't use too many of the Nectarvines or Scattervines inappropriately. We might be able to pull one down here, get a movement, and then attack. What I'm kind of hoping is, yeah, they're going to have to move something else to detonate the mine. So they're probably going to want Shrapnel in here. But if Eztli can move over here. So if I were them, I'd be using Shrapnel to detonate this. I'd be Eztli to move out the way. I think they've got this. I think we've lost this game. It just depends if they can see the line, because it's quite an awkward series of lines here. So they've got 3 Cinder as well. They're probably considering doing here in a spin. This I'm not so sure about, because this is taking damage on units they don't need to. Yep, so that's all fine. Yeah, we take the hits here, this is all fine. Get the plink. So the question is, can we pull this far enough away with the gravity disc that we can get our shot onto Extilior and win the game? Which I think there's a reasonable chance we can. So let's see how far we can... Yeah, this should be fine. So we'll just gravity disc this way. We'll move over here and just go for the big finish. That was a really tight game, so well done Shivs and Jibs. That was a fantastic game, actually. Really enjoyed that. Blindsider Eztli ranking up again. And then, again, this is a high-level player. They will know roughly what this list can do, how it puts out offensive damage, how quickly it can do it. We'll get in one more game, and we'll call it a day on this video. But this is to give you an idea of how fast this list can also go as well. So, in the previous version, Eztli was cheaper, and it was a lot more common to see like Drumdancer Tlalli straight into Blindsider Eztli. If we're going second, I still quite like that, because you've then got the option, if you want to, on turn 3, to activate for 2 Cinder, play another 1-drop, and you can deal 8 damage to someone on top of having a Maximus as well. So At that point, if you have Corrosive, in that turn alone, you've got 4 damage from Maximus, 3 damage from Tlalli, and 10 damage from Blindsider Eztli in that situation, as well as playing another follow-up. So that is basically 17 damage coming out of of such a fast start. So we're going to play one more game, see if we can have another success, see if we can keep the track record going. We're against an Astra. So versus an Astra, we really want Disruptor if we can, as well as something like Corrosive. Corrosive 3 games out of 3 would be amazing, but... Okay, so we've got no movement abilities and no Corrosive either. So this is a really interesting setup for us. I think what we're going to pick is Orbital and Nano Shield. So Orbital is often not picked at the moment, and the reason for it is that Orbital is actually a very situational move. It's sort of, people often assumed that Orbital was going to be the choice that you take when you're trying to be aggressive. You just put like a big orb down and you just blow up someone's stuff. But what we're going to be doing instead is we're going to be using it to zone people and force them into certain directions. There we go, we got our hit there, and when playing Maximus in this matchup, Astra is obviously ranged, so we need to be careful, but I think this big rock is just the best place to put it. We don't want to be too antsy, seeing as we don't have the assist to follow it up, but we've got Force in the next turn, so there's a good chance that we do our Blindsider Eztli Tlalli next turn, just depending on what they do. So, because we've not been able to stop them gaining Cinder, they're going to be able to put out a lot of units, so they're an aggressive list as well. So this is going to be an interesting one because it just comes down to who can finish faster and who basically turns on the captain rather than focuses on the unit. That's probably a mistake. Yeah, because it's picked it up straight away. So our opponent made a bit of a misclick there. They should have had 1 extra Cinder next turn. But that's okay, these things happen. I've done it before myself as well. So they're moving this way. So we may not be able to get line of sight with our Zax this turn, or at least not a good one. We'll have to go through here. But Maximus should be able to still get good damage out. They can try and block our Maximus in, but we've got a really aggressive start coming. We've got 2 free Cinder next turn. We can see what they do. Okay, so they've gone Savria Safeguard. So that's a very defensive option. So it's a completely different to what we assumed from their first unit. So we're going to get our shots in here first. So these are minus 120% on these shots. So there's nothing we can do to get a reasonable shot over there. So what I'm going to do is actually just move as far forward as possible. This is going to be 0. That's blocked anyway. That's 0. No point in doing any of that. With our access to 4 Cinder, we can play a bunch of different options here. And I think, even though I said I like the idea of Blindsider Eztli and Drumdancer Tlalli, given that we can only deploy this far up, it might be worth going for something else. But they can only just get to there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this just to sort of demonstrate it. We're going to deploy slightly further back, so this should be just out of range. And we're going to play our Drumdancer Tlalli here, and just keep these as defensive as possible. And in the meantime, so there could be things that they play over here, but we just want to be as forward-facing as possible, so Maximus is going to stay up here as well. And we're going to be just fully in their face as quickly as possible and try and have a bit of an experimental game and see how fast we can do things. If they've got Ion Storm here, that's really good. That would basically reduce all of our entire team's accuracy. But given that we've got Orbital, okay, they've got Orbital, so we're not going to be anywhere near there. And what we can, in theory, do is herd them this way. So we want them to all be moving in this direction away from us. And we can place an Orbital, say, here, and it makes it really hard for them to move out of it without taking damage or moving forward towards us. We will willingly sit our Zax in this to get extra damage onto their units. Or onto their captain, in fact. So that's another mistake. They've picked it up again. So this is just not saving Cinder as much as they hoped they would. We are also in range with Blindsider Eztli here, so we can do exactly what we said. We can get 8 damage onto the captain with just this alone. If we had Corrosive, this would have been 10 this turn. So we're really, really pushing the damage in. Them having Stitchy is interesting. Stitchy is definitely something that's got, a bit of an awkwardness against us. With them doing that as well, this just means Maximus is our first attack. Maximus deals 1 damage at a time. He may not get to move again, but we're not as worried about that as long as they actually take that shield off, basically. So, we're going to Battle Frenzy here. Like we said before, Zax is just going to go in and try and take a hit. We don't care about the Orbital on Zax as much. Maximus is going to go for a hit on this direction, just to keep ourselves a little bit further out of that zone. We just need to get one hit. There we go. Doesn't matter that the other one missed whatsoever. Maximus can't move again, but he's outside of range anyway. Here we can just play a 1-drop. So our 1-drop is going to be an aggressive placement here. We're going to place Orbital about here, because we want to give them no reason to run towards us. Blindsider Eztli is going to come over. We'd want to keep him alive if we can, so we're still going to come to this side and just go for the big damage. Zax can take his shot as well, 60%. No, not quite. And then Tlalli needs to move out of range, but can't quite do so easily, so we're just going to move this way. So this time, we've got them down really low. We're taking 3 on our captain, but that's what we're kind of working towards. If they're willing to spend 3 Cinder a turn on defensive things on their Astra, that's what we want. And if they're only going to hop to here, they're going to really struggle to defend themselves against this. So we've got Nano Shield next turn. It's probably going to go onto Eztli. Yep, they can stun us here. So these two can move out. They have got enough movement. But we want them to be running away from this. Okay, they've got Tipu out. So that means they can't heal, which means with Astra being here, we know their assists. There's nothing they can do to stop this combo killing them next turn. So it was a bit of a really aggressive game. This is, like I said before, I don't know if I said previously, but this is a level 0 player. So this is going to be a very harsh lesson for them. So Chaotic Fish, I apologise. This is probably not the list you were hoping to face when you came in today. If I were them, I'd probably have moved into the orbital and tried to survive by blocking this with other bodies. So absolutely a thing that you can do is take 3 damage to prevent yourself from taking more. So we're going to Battle Frenzy here. We'll play Scattervine out just to make sure we get another attack if we need it. And we're just going to go for this big 8 attack here. There we go. So that's 3 for 3. It's the most aggressive list I could possibly field, I think. Again, like I said, a couple of variations, but this list is really, really powerful. It's doing the rounds everywhere. Anyone who's sort of experienced in the game will be familiar with this, so don't expect people to know, to not know how to play against it. There's a good chance they might know what's coming, so they might be prepared for it. But this is what to expect a lot of the time when you're coming up against people in PvP as well. So thank you very much for watching. It's a very successful list, a successful video. I want to make sure if you've got any thoughts on this, any tweaks, which one of the options for the aggressive units would you pick? Make sure to pop that in the comments. Feel free to like the video, and every time you subscribe, I get that notification on my phone, and it really does make me smile. So thank you very much for everyone who's done that, and other than that, have a good day.